says, ew. Title cheating wife destroyed our marriage on my birthday. She never saw my revenge coming on the night of my birthday. My wife shattered our marriage with a single confession. But she had no idea that by the next day, her whole world would burn. She thought cheating on her husband with his best friend would give her a better life. Instead, her betrayal exposed secrets, ended careers, and left her with nothing. This is the full story of how one man turned heartbreak into the ultimate revenge. The birthday that broke me birthdays are supposed to be milestones, moments where you feel celebrated, appreciated, loved. That night, I thought my wife, Emily, had planned something special. She'd been acting a little distant over the past few weeks, but I chalked it up to stress from her new job and life, just pulling us in different directions. The house smelled faintly of vanilla and strawberries. A cake sat on the table, half decorated, with candles, and a bottle of my favorite whiskey was waiting. My friends were supposed to stop by later, but Emily insisted she wanted a few quiet moments with me first. She stood there, fidgeting with the hem of her dress, her eyes darting away from mine like she was waiting for a storm she couldn't stop. I remember thinking she looked nervous, like she was about to tell me something important. I smiled anyway. "Babe, you didn't have to go all out," I said, kissing her cheek. "This looks perfect." But instead of smiling back, she pulled away. "I can't keep pretending, Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I need to tell you something before the others get here." My chest tightened. "Tell me what?" I asked, suddenly alert. Her hands shook as she poured herself a glass of wine and downed it in one gulp. Then she looked straight at me with eyes colder than I'd ever seen. "I don't love you anymore," she said flatly. "I've been seeing someone else, and it's serious." At first I laughed. I thought it was some twisted joke, some drunken prank on my birthday of all nights. But when she didn't flinch, when her silence stretched like a knife, the laughter died in my throat. "Emily, what the hell are you saying?" Her lips trembled. "I'm saying I want a divorce. I want out tonight." And just like that on. The night of my birthday, the life I had built, the love I thought I had, shattered into dust. But she didn't know something then. She didn't know the man she was betraying had already seen the signs and had quietly started preparing for a revenge she'd never forget. I didn't speak. Not right away. The words sat heavy in my chest, crushing the air out of me. My wife, the woman I spent 7 years with, was standing in our living room on my birthday, calmly telling me she'd been sleeping with someone else. The silence between us stretched until she broke it with a name. "His name is Ryan," she said, almost proudly, like she wanted the word to sting. "We met at my office. He understands me in ways you never did. He's younger, exciting, and he makes me feel alive again." Ryan. The name carved itself into my brain like acid on stone. I clenched my fists but forced myself to stay calm. Exploding now would only give her satisfaction. So instead, I studied her flushed cheeks, the way her lips curled when she said his name, the gleam in her eyes like she was already living in the new world she thought she'd found. "Alive again?" I repeated slowly. My voice was colder than I expected. "And this Ryan knows you're married?" Her jaw tightened. "He knows, and he doesn't care. We love each other, Daniel." "I'm done living a lie." "Love." She said it so easily, as if the word had no weight, no history, no blood in it. In that moment, a strange calm settled over me. Because if Emily thought I'd roll over, if she thought she could burn down everything we had and just walk into another man's arms without consequence, she didn't know me at all. "Then I guess there's nothing left to say," I told her, grabbing my coat. "You've made your choice." She blinked, surprised I wasn't begging. Maybe she expected tears. Maybe she thought I'd plead like some broken fool, but I wasn't broken. Not yet, Dot. As I walked out the door into the cool night, one thought anchored me. Ryan just became a part of this game too, Dot. And if they both thought betrayal came without a price, they were about to learn what real consequences look like. Night air hit my face like a slap. I walked with no destination, just letting the anger burn through me until it became something sharper, colder, something I could use. Emily thought she'd blindsided me. Truth was, I'd seen the cracks long before tonight. The late nights at work, the sudden secrecy with her phone, the coldness in bed. I'd even noticed her scent change, new perfume. That wasn't for me, Dot. So while she thought she was running the game, I quietly started preparing. Weeks earlier, I installed a discreet tracking app on her car. Not because I didn't trust her, but because deep down, I already knew. Tonight confirmed it. And if I wanted revenge, I needed evidence. Hard, undeniable proof. I pulled out my phone, opened the app, and there it was, her car parked at an apartment complex downtown. Ryan's place, no doubt. I clenched my jaw. Got you, I muttered, but revenge isn't served hot. No, real revenge is slow, methodical, devastating, Dot, so I went home. When I walked through the door, Emily was gone. She hadn't even waited for me. Probably ran straight into Ryan's arms. That was fine. I didn't need her here for my first move. I logged into our joint accounts, carefully transferring my salary into a private savings account I'd opened months ago. Every dollar I earned was mine now. The joint account was still active, but only my regular contributions would stay, enough to keep her from noticing the bleeding until it was too late. Dot. Then came the second part. Documents. I dug out her marriage certificate, her financial records, and most importantly, the prenup she had laughed about when we first signed it. She never thought it mattered. But right now, it was my shield, my weapon. Dot. As I sat at the table, surrounded by papers, whiskey in my glass, the reality settled in. She thought she ended our marriage on my birthday, but what she really did was start a war. And wars are won by those who prepare their battlefield first. A week passed. Emily moved like a ghost in the house, barely speaking, always glued to her phone. At night, she'd slip out under the excuse of late work, as if I hadn't already mapped her every move. But I waited. I let her play her game, because timing is everything in revenge. Finally, on Friday evening, I followed her car through the tracker. She drove straight to that downtown apartment complex, her little escape haven. I parked 2 blocks away, dressed casual, blending in, and that's when I saw him. Ryan. Tall, broad shoulders, designer clothes that screamed arrogance. He looked younger, sure, maybe 30 at best, but there was something in his posture that reeked of entitlement. He walked out of the building like he owned the street, and then Emily appeared, her face lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in years. Dot. It wasn't love I saw, it was infatuation. That shallow, temporary kind that burns fast and dies faster. I stayed in the shadows, watching them kiss, watching her cling to him like a teenager sneaking out after curfew. And then, as if fate had a sense of humor, Ryan noticed me, his eyes locked on mine across the street. For a moment, his smirk faltered, but then he wrapped an arm tighter around Emily and leaned in for another kiss, never breaking eye contact with me. A silent challenge. I didn't flinch, didn't look away. I just tilted my head slightly, as if to say, enjoy it while it lasts. Kid. Dot. Because the truth was, Ryan didn't even know the battlefield he'd stepped onto. He wasn't just sleeping with my wife, he was stepping into a war he wasn't built for, and wars. I don't lose. Dot. As I walked back to my car, my plan sharpened. It wasn't enough to destroy Emily. No, Ryan needed to feel the weight of his choices too. If he thought he could take my wife, he was about to learn there's a price for stealing what belongs to another man. Revenge isn't one blow, it's 1,000 cuts. and I had just begun sharpening the blade. The morning after seeing Ryan, I moved fast. Emily was still asleep when I slipped out, laptop bag slung over my shoulder. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. No, this wasn't about shouting or slamming doors. This was about control. Step 1. Social connections. Ryan's life was an open book online. His Instagram was flooded with gym selfies, luxury, nights out, and half-drunk parties with people he called friends. But digging deeper, I found something better: his workplace. A mid-tier real estate firm. Fancy enough to look impressive, fragile enough to collapse with a scandal. I created a new anonymous profile. Within hours, I pulled photos of him and Emily together from her private album screenshots I had taken months ago when I first suspected. I blurred her face, left his clear as day. Then, with a carefully worded email, those photos landed in the inbox of Ryan's boss. Subject line: your employee representing your company after hours. Step 2, finances. Emily was careless with money, always trusting me to handle the boring stuff. She never checked our joint accounts, just used the credit cards without thought. I logged into her personal account, the one tied to her boutique side business, and traced her PayPal connections. It took me half an hour to reroute her deposits to a temporary holding account I controlled. She wouldn't notice for weeks. Step 3, the network. People talk. Families talk even more. Emily had been desperate to keep our marriage troubles quiet, but her biggest weakness was her mother. I paid her a visit that afternoon, calm and polite, bringing flowers like the perfect son-in-law. Over tea, I let a few slips fall. Phrases like, "I'm worried about Emily. She's been spending a lot of nights away lately, and I hope she's not overworking herself with Ryan's company." Her mother's eyes narrowed instantly. Bingo. A seed planted. When I got home that night, Emily was smiling at her phone, typing furiously. She didn't even notice me walk past. I didn't care. Because while she thought she was building a future with Ryan, I was already dismantling both their worlds, one seed at a time, and when those seeds grew, they'd strangle her from the inside out. It didn't take long. Revenge, when planted right, grows faster than people expect. 3 days after I sent the email, Ryan's company held an emergency meeting. I knew because his Instagram went silent. No gym flexes, no late night selfies. The silence of a man trying to control the fire. That same evening, Emily stormed into the house. Her face red, her tone sharp. "Did you talk to my mother?" She snapped. I looked up from the couch, calm. She invited me over. "Why?" "She's been calling me nonstop, asking if I'm cheating on you. She said you told her things." I gave her the perfect blend of hurt and confusion. "Emily, all I said was, I'm worried about you. You're never home. I didn't accuse you of anything." Her eyes flickered, guilt flashing just long enough before anger replaced it. "You always twist things, Daniel. Always playing the victim." She stomped upstairs, slamming the bedroom door. I smiled. One crack, the next came 2 nights later. Emily was on the phone with Ryan in the kitchen, whispering furiously. She thought I was asleep. I wasn't. They suspended me, I'm not going to lose my job over this. Someone sent photos of us. They're saying I'm ruining the company image. His voice was strained, desperate. "Emily has back. Calm down. It'll blow over. Just lay low." But I heard it, the tone of a man who was beginning to question if she was worth the risk. Crack number 2. And then came the money. Emily tried paying for a spa day with her girlfriends. Her card declined twice. She cursed under her breath, fumbling through her purse. When she came home, she demanded, "Daniel, what the hell is going on with our accounts?" "Oh," I said casually, typing at my laptop. Some transfers must have been delayed. I'll fix it in the morning. Her nostrils flared, but she didn't push. She couldn't not without admitting she had something to hide. Crack number 3. Each fracture spread silently, like spider webs. In glass, they thought they were safe behind lies and stolen moments. But what they didn't know was that their perfect little bubble was already collapsing. And soon it would shatter. The cracks I planted were widening, and finally they snapped. It started on a Thursday night. Emily came home late again, perfume that wasn't hers clinging to her clothes. She found me at the dining table, bills and paperwork spread out neatly. "We need to talk," I said softly, her shoulders tensed. "About what now?" I slid a stack of unpaid notices toward her. "Credit cards, utilities, our mortgage." "You've been spending more than we make." She waved it off too quickly. "You're overreacting." Ryan said he'd. She stopped herself, lips freezing mid-sentence. "Ryan said what?" I asked, my tone deliberately mild. Her face flushed. "Nothing. Just forget it." But it was too late. The truth slipped, and I watched her drown. In her own panic. Later that night, as she showered, her phone lit up on the counter. Ryan's name. I didn't touch it. I didn't have to. His words appeared in bold across the screen. "I told you not to drag me into your money problems. Handle it." I leaned back in my chair, grinning. The first real betrayal. The next day, Emily cornered him in the parking lot outside his office. She didn't know I was there, watching from my car across the street. "You promised you'd take care of me," she hissed, jabbing a manicured finger at his chest. Ryan shoved her hand away, glancing around nervously. "I didn't promise anything. And you need to stop calling me at work. Do you want people to find out?" Her voice cracked. "So what was all this? Just fun for you?" "You made me believe," Ryan cut her off, his words like ice. "I made no promises, Emily. You made your own choices." I snapped the photo at just the right angle. Emily's furious face, Ryan's cold dismissal, the tension between them so thick it nearly bled into the air. A picture that told the story of a mistress discarded. That night, Emily didn't come home. She didn't call either. When she finally stumbled through the door the next morning, her mascara streaked, her hands trembling. I didn't ask questions. I just smiled, poured her a coffee, and said, "Rough night?" Her silence was the sweetest answer I'd ever heard, because now they weren't just betraying me. They were betraying each other. And nothing ruins an affair faster than mistrust. By now, Emily and Ryan were tangled in their own lies, each pointing fingers, each quietly resenting the other. That's when I knew it was time to pull the strings tighter. I already planted doubt in Emily's mind about Ryan's loyalty. Now I needed Ryan to doubt Emily's as well. The plan started with an anonymous email. I crafted it late one night, the glow of my laptop the only light in the room. My words were sharp, cruel, and deliberately vague. "She's not as loyal as you think. Check her messages. She's been talking to someone else behind your back." I sent it from a throwaway account. Then I waited. 2 days later, I got what I wanted. Ryan called Emily while she was in the kitchen. His voice was sharp enough for me to hear every word from the other room. "Who the hell's Mark?" He snapped. Emily froze, nearly dropping the glass in her hand. "What are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me." I saw the messages. "Mark this, mark that. Can't wait to see you again." Her face turned pale. "Ryan, I don't know any Mark. Save it. You think I'm stupid? Maybe I'm not the only one you've been sneaking around with." She stammered, reaching for explanations. She didn't have. But Ryan hung up before she could finish. I leaned back in my chair, biting back a laugh. The seed of paranoia had been planted. The beauty of it was, Mark didn't even exist. I had created him, a ghost. A name pulled from thin air, carefully placed where Ryan would find it. That night, Emily stormed into our bedroom, pacing like a trapped animal. He thinks I'm cheating on him with someone else. She shouted. I blinked at her, feigning confusion. Isn't that ironic? She glared at me, but didn't answer. That's when I moved to the second part of the trap. Set up a private dinner at a downtown restaurant. I made sure Emily got the invitation, supposedly from Ryan. At the same time, I sent Ryan a message, this time pretending to be Emily, asking to meet at our special place. Neither of them questioned it. Neither of them thought to confirm. Both showed up that Friday night, each expecting to see the other waiting lovingly for them, but instead, they walked into the same restaurant and found me. I stood up from the table, smiling warmly, holding 2 glasses of champagne. Emily, Ryan, what a coincidence. I thought we should all have dinner together, after all. Secrets taste better when shared. Emily's face strained. Of color, Ryan's jaw tightened, and in that perfect silence, the trap snapped shut. The restaurant hummed with low chatter, forks clinking softly against porcelain plates. Couples laughed over candlelight. Waiters weaved between tables. And then there was us. Emily sat stiffly across from me, her hands clenched around her. Napkin. Ryan loomed beside her, trying to look calm, but failing, his jaw twitching with every passing second. I raised my glass. To old friends and even older secrets. Neither of them moved. Neither lifted their glasses. Cut the crap. Daniel, Ryan muttered, leaning forward. Why the hell are we here? I tilted my head, feigning innocence. Isn't it obvious? I thought the 2 of you would enjoy a reunion. Emily's eyes darted around, scanning the faces at nearby tables. She looked terrified someone might. Over here, I wanted that terror to bloom. Stop, she hissed through clenched teeth. This isn't the place. But it was exactly the place. I leaned back in my chair, smiling like a man with nothing to lose. Emily, do you remember our wedding vows? Till death do us part. Beautiful words. But maybe I should have added, unless you're busy. Sneaking around with my best friend. Her face flushed red, not from guilt, but from fear. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, glancing at the table beside us where an elderly couple was now staring with open curiosity. Keep your voice down. Emily whispered harshly. Why? I asked deliberately louder. Why hide it now? You didn't seem too worried when you were lying in his bed, did you? A fork clattered from another table. Conversations around us began to hush, curious eyes drifting toward our corner. Perfect. The mask was slipping, and everyone could see. Emily stood abruptly, her chair screeching against the floor. We're leaving, but Ryan didn't move. He stayed seated, his hand pressed flat on the table. His voice came out cold, sharp, cutting through the tension like a blade. No, I want to hear him out. Emily froze, staring at him. Ryan. He cut her off with a glare. Sit down. And for the first time, I saw it, the shift. The cracks in their alliance. She had leaned on him for strength, but now he was angry too. Not just at me, not just at the situation. At her, I leaned in, lowering my voice so only they could hear. Funny thing about secrets, they're never as safe as you think, especially when both of you are hiding more than you admit. Emily's lips trembled. Ryan's eyes narrowed, and in that tense, suffocating silence, I knew one thing. The mask had finally fallen. And once it was gone, there was no putting it back on. The ride back from the restaurant was silent, except for the soft hum of the car's engine. Emily stared out the window, her arms crossed tightly across her chest, while Ryan gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. When they finally pulled into the driveway of Ryan's condo, Emily spoke first. You shouldn't have made me sit there, she snapped. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Ryan slammed the door shut after stepping out, his voice hard as stone. Humiliating for you? Or for me? Emily froze on the walkway, turning to glare at him. What are you talking about? He stalked toward her, his voice low but seething. Daniel wasn't just humiliating you, Emily. He was humiliating me too, making me look like a fool. Like I stole something that wasn't even worth keeping. Her jaw tightened. Don't you dare. Oh, don't I dare. Ryan cut her off, his laugh bitter. You told me you were done with him. You swore you loved me, and now? Now I'm starting to wonder if you just wanted the thrill of sneaking around, of playing us both like puppets. Emily's face twisted with anger. That's not fair. You knew what you were getting into when we what? Ryan barked. When we blew up his life? When you climbed into my bed on the night of his birthday? That's what you call love, Emily? For the first time, her voice faltered. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Ryan stepped closer, his eyes burning, and yet here we are. You're living with me. I'm the one who's left with the pieces, and now he's dangling us both over the fire. Emily turned away, her shoulders trembling. For a moment, she looked small, broken. Then she whispered, You're supposed to protect me, Ryan. Ryan's laugh was hollow. Protect you? From what? From him? Or from the truth? The words hung in the air like a blade between them. For the first time, Ryan wasn't just Daniel's enemy. He was starting to doubt the woman he'd risked. Everything forgot, Emily spun around, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Don't you dare turn this on me. You think you're innocent in this? You wanted me? You chased me? Don't act like you're some victim now. And with that, she stormed inside, leaving him standing in the cold night. Ryan didn't follow. He just stood there, staring at the door, his chest heaving with rage. The cracks were spreading. And I knew it was only a matter of time before the two of them turned their knives on each other. I had been patient. For weeks, I let Emily and Ryan stew in their own paranoia, every silence between them growing louder, every fight cutting deeper. And when the time was right, I sent the first strike dot. It came in the form of an envelope. Ryan found it on his car windshield one early morning before heading to work. A plain white envelope with his name scrawled across it. Inside was a single photo, grainy, black and white, taken from a distant dot. It was Emily, sitting in a cafe, with another man. Ryan's blood boiled as he stared at it, his pulse racing. The timestamp in the corner was from just 2 days ago. When he confronted Emily that evening, she froze. Who is he? Ryan demanded, shoving the photo into her hands. Emily's eyes widened, her lips parting. This isn't what it looks like. Don't you dare, Ryan snarled, pacing across the room like a caged animal. Don't you dare feed me the same lies you fed Daniel. Who is he? Emily stammered. It's just a friend, an old friend. I met him for coffee, that's all. Ryan's laugh was sharp, bitter. Do you think I'm an idiot? You think I don't see the way you look at him in this picture? Like you used to look at me? Like you probably looked at Daniel before you ruined him too? Her hands shook as she dropped the photo to the floor. I swear, Ryan, nothing happened. But Ryan wasn't listening. The seed of doubt had already been planted, and it was growing fast. He stormed out of the apartment, leaving Emily trembling. The walls that once protected their affair were crumbling, and they both knew it. What Emily didn't know, what Ryan couldn't see, was that I had staged the entire photo. That other man was someone I had paid. Nothing more than an actor, part of my carefully crafted revenge. And it worked. Ryan began pulling away from her. He came home late, stopped answering her calls, and when he did speak, it was with sharp, cutting words. Emily grew restless, desperate, and that's when I prepared the second piece of evidence one. That would not just make Ryan question her loyalty, but her very sanity. The second envelope was far crueler. This time, it wasn't a photo. It was a receipt, a hotel booking under Emily's name, dated for the very night she had sworn she was working late. Ryan found it folded neatly inside his desk drawer at work. I had made sure it would be discovered, slipping it in during the night. When he read it, his jaw clenched so tightly he thought his teeth might break Dot by the time he returned home. He wasn't looking for explanations. He was looking for blood. "Tell me," Ryan hissed, throwing the receipt in Emily's face. "Tell me you weren't in that hotel." Emily's hands shook. I wasn't, I swear. "I don't even know how. Lies." Ryan roared, slamming his fist against the wall so hard the drywall cracked. "You cheated on me too? Just like you cheated on Daniel?" Emily's knees buckled. She reached for him, sobbing, but Ryan shoved her hand away. For the first time since they began their affair, she felt the terrifying cold of being unwanted, and that was exactly what I wanted. Ryan began sleeping on the couch. Emily cried herself to sleep alone in their bed. I fed the fire with whispers, arranging for anonymous texts to ping Ryan's phone late at night. Messages that read, "Ask her where she was last Thursday. You're not the only one, Ryan." Ryan stared at her differently now, with suspicion, with disgust. Emily tried desperately to cling to him, but every embrace felt forced. Every kiss tasted like ash. The same poison she once used against me now flowed in her own veins. One night, the shouting could be heard through the entire building. "You've ruined my life," Ryan bellowed. "You destroyed Daniel, and now you're destroying me." Emily was sobbing, clutching his arm. "No, please, it's not true. I only loved you." "Loved me?" Ryan laughed bitterly. "You don't know how to love. You only know how to use people. Maybe Daniel was right to leave you." Emily's face crumpled. For the first time, she realized Ryan wasn't her escape anymore. He was her jailer, and she was utterly alone. From my new apartment across the street, I watched the fallout unfold. The woman who once destroyed me was unraveling. I saw her cry on the balcony. I saw her throw Ryan's things into the hallway in a fit of rage, only to collapse moments later, begging him to stay. Every scream, every tear, every slammed door was music to my ears. This was my gift to my self-justice. Served not with violence, but with patience, Ryan eventually stopped coming home altogether. Emily's calls went unanswered, her texts unread. One evening, she stormed to Ryan's workplace to confront him. But when she arrived, he barely looked at her. "We're done, Emily," he said coldly. "Whatever this was, it's over." She fell to her knees in the lobby, sobbing. Security had to drag her out as Ryan walked away without a glance. Her world, once so full of power and choices, was collapsing like sand slipping through her fingers. She tried reaching out to friends, but most had drifted away, tired of her selfishness. Her family had long since given up on her. In desperation, she called me. "Daniel," her voice cracked. "Please, can we talk?" I let the silence hang for a moment before replying. "I'm busy, Emily. Don't call me again." The line went dead, and with it, the last bridge she had left. It wasn't enough for her to suffer privately. She needed to face the world she once flaunted. I sent Ryan the final package, every message she had ever sent me during our marriage. Screenshots, emails, photos, proof of how deeply she had betrayed me before she betrayed him. Ryan didn't keep it secret. He sent it to her parents, to her boss, to anyone who mattered in her world. By the end of the week, Emily lost her job. Her family stopped speaking to her, and her name became a whisper of shame in every corner she once proudly walked out. Exactly 1 year after the night she ruined me, I celebrated my birthday again, this time alone, this time free. I lit a single candle on a small cake in my quiet apartment. Across town, Emily sat in the dark of her crumbling apartment, staring at her phone, waiting for calls that would never come. I blew out the candle and whispered, happy. Birthday to me, people often say revenge leaves you empty, that it poisons the soul. But as I watched Emily wander through her lonely days, shunned and broken, I didn't feel empty. I felt alive. Revenge wasn't the point, it was the balance. The restoration of what she took from me, Emily had voided. Our marriage on my birthday, thinking she had destroyed me, but in the end, she destroyed herself, and that was the sweetest revenge of all. And it worked. Ryan began pulling away from her. He came home late, stopped answering her calls, and when he did speak, it was with sharp, cutting words. Emily grew restless, desperate, and that's when I prepared the second piece of evidence one. That would not just make Ryan question her loyalty, but her very sanity. The second envelope was far crueler. This time, it wasn't a photo. It was a receipt, a hotel booking under Emily's name, dated for the very night she had sworn she was working late. Ryan found it folded neatly inside his desk drawer at work. I had made sure it would be discovered, slipping it in during the night. When he read it, his jaw clenched so tightly he thought his teeth might break. By the time he returned home, he wasn't looking for explanations. He was looking for blood. "Tell me," Ryan hissed, throwing the receipt in Emily's face. "Tell me you weren't in that hotel." Emily's hand shook. I wasn't. I swear. I don't even know how. Lies. Ryan roared, slamming his fist against the wall so hard the drywall cracked. "You cheated on me too, just like you cheated on Daniel." Emily's knees buckled. She reached for him, sobbing, but Ryan shoved her hand away. For the first time since they began their affair, she felt the terrifying cold of being unwanted. And that was exactly what I wanted. Ryan began sleeping on the couch. Emily cried herself to sleep alone in their bed. I fed the fire with whispers, arranging for anonymous texts to ping Ryan's phone late at night. Messages that read, "Ask her where she was last Thursday." "You're not the only one, Ryan." Ryan stared at her differently now, with suspicion. With disgust, Emily tried desperately to cling to him, but every embrace felt forced. Every kiss tasted like ash. The same poison she once used against me now flowed in her own veins. One night, the shouting could be heard through the entire building. "You've ruined my life," Ryan bellowed. "You destroyed Daniel, and now you're destroying me." Emily was sobbing, clutching his arm. "No, please, it's not true." "I only loved you, loved me," Ryan laughed bitterly. "You don't know how to love. You only know how to use people." "Maybe Daniel was right to leave you." Emily's face crumpled. For the first time, she realized Ryan wasn't her escape anymore. He was her jailer, and she was utterly alone. From my new apartment across the street, I watched the fallout unfold. The woman who once destroyed me was unraveling. I saw her cry on the balcony. I saw her throw Ryan's things into the hallway in a fit of rage, only to collapse moments later, begging him to stay. Every scream, every cheer, every slammed door was music to my ears. This was my gift to myself. Justice served not with violence, but with patience. Ryan eventually stopped coming home altogether. Emily's calls went unanswered, her texts unread. One evening, she stormed to Ryan's workplace to confront him. But when she arrived, he barely looked at her. "We're done, Emily," he said coldly. "Whatever this was, it's over." She fell to her knees in the lobby, sobbing. Security had to drag her out as Ryan walked away without a glance. Her world, once so full of power and choices, was collapsing like sand slipping through her fingers. She tried reaching out to friends, but most had drifted away, tired of her selfishness. Her family had long since given up on her. In desperation, she called me. "Daniel," her voice cracked. "Please, can we talk?" I let the silence hang for a moment before replying. "I'm busy, Emily. Don't call me again." The line went dead, and with it, The last bridge she had left Dot, it wasn't enough for her to suffer privately. She needed to face the world she once flaunted. I sent Ryan the final package, every message she had ever sent me during our marriage. Screenshots, emails, photos, proof of how deeply she had betrayed me before she betrayed him. Ryan didn't keep it secret. He sent it to her parents, to her boss, to anyone who mattered in her world. By the end of the week, Emily lost her job. Her family stopped speaking to her, and her name became a whisper of shame in every corner she once proudly walked. Exactly. 1 year after the night she ruined me, I celebrated my birthday again. This time alone. This time free. I lit a single candle and a small cake in my quiet apartment across town. Emily sat in the dark of her crumbling apartment, staring at her phone, waiting for calls that would never come. I blew out the candle and whispered, "Happy birthday" to me. People often say revenge leaves you empty, that it poisons the soul. But as I watched Emily wander through her lonely days, shunned and broken, I didn't feel empty. I felt alive. Revenge wasn't the point, it was the balance. The restoration of what she took from me. Emily had voided our marriage on my birthday, thinking she had destroyed me. But in the end, she destroyed herself, and that was the sweetest revenge of all.